Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my makeup empties for 2024. All of the makeup products that I fully used up and plopped into my gorgeous little makeup bin basket, if you will. So if you want to see what makeup I fully used up, I loved it so flipping much in the year of 2024, and hear my thoughts on whether or not I have repurchased or replaced what I finished and why, then keep watching. Okay, so before we dive into my little bin, I want to share my rules for my empties. So if I've used something for a little while, not really got along with it and then binned it, I do not put it in here. This bin is only for products that I have used until they fully ran out, and I don't do that lightly, okay? I'm not one to suffer in silence. I sometimes do this with skincare. I'll continue to use skincare I'm not loving until it's finished because I don't want to just waste it. But I never do it with makeup. I never use makeup that I'm not enjoying, that I don't love. So if I have used something a little while and I don't get along with it, I will either gift it to somebody or bin it. I will never use it against my will, reluctantly, if I'm not loving it. So you can rest assured that anything that's in my bin, I have used up because I've loved it and got a lot of use out of it over the year. So that being said, let's dive in. So first up, brow pencils, a really boring makeup item for me, but also an essential one. So I have one each in my bin of my two favorite eyebrow pencils. First of all, we have the Huda, and this is, you can hear the click, there's nothing. There's a tiny nub left on there that I've just given up on because you can't really touch your skin without scratching it when it's, almost completely flat. But that is completely gone. This is in the shade 7 Black Brown, which is my favorite shade in the Huda Beauty pencil. So I do have another one of these on the go currently in shade 6, which was kind of like a spare for me that I sort of kept in my drawer. I think I purchased that when the shade 7 was sold out one time. I don't love shade 6, I don't like it as much. But while this is no longer my holy grail brow pencil, I do like it enough to think I'm going to use that shade 6 up. And I just sort of use it when I'm caught in a pinch. However, when that one has run out, I won't keep repurchasing the Huda Beauty. They will be gone from my life forever. And this is the reason why my new holy grail brow pencil, this is the Benefit Precisely My Brow Detailer. So this is my new favorite, and this one has fully gone. There's no winding anything up any longer. This is in the shade 5, which I think is the darkest shade, and this is my favorite. I have already repurchased this. I have a new one on the go. I feel like I'm going to be needing to repurchase another one any day now, and I will keep repurchasing this until, if ever, something comes along to beat it out of top spot. So only 2 brow pencils used up this year, which is really interesting because I feel like I typically used to go through more when I was using just the Huda Beauty, so I think the Benefit must last longer. So this is interesting. They seem to have pretty much the same amount of product, which is 0.02 grams, but it's interesting to see how much longer the Benefit is lasting me. I used to go through at least 3 of these, and I remember it always used to run out all of a sudden. I would very often be caught out, hence the reason I've got a backup still, when it suddenly all of a sudden ran out. And I think it always seemed to happen quite quickly. I definitely go through the Huda much more quickly than I do the Benefit, and it's not because of the weight, it must just be the formula. And I do find the Benefit is much crisper, whereas the Huda is a bit creamier and sort of more prone to maybe slightly smudging or having the hair strokes be a bit thicker than you would like. So obviously that is also causing me to run out quicker. So that's really intriguing. I've only fully used up one of these this year, and I use it pretty much every time I do my makeup. So that's good news. It's obviously a lot more cost effective. Very interesting little science experiment there. I didn't know that I was a part of, but great, we love to see it. So obviously, if you know me, and I guess this would be the case probably for anyone, the most frequently used up product in this house when it comes to makeup, I should say, is mascara. So a lot of what is in my bin is indeed mascara, because obviously it is the product that you use up the fastest, that has the shortest shelf life, and that you just go through the quickest. So I have quite a lot, because if you know me, you know I use a lot of mascara. But these are the only mascaras that I fully used up until they were finished. I didn't use them a few times and then go back to my favorites. These are mascaras that I properly used up until they were no longer good. So we have one of the Chanel Le Volume de Chanel. I liked this and I kept going back and forth with it. But I think at the end of the day, it seems to like go past its best really quickly. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. So this was a use up, really think about it and consider it. But ultimately it just didn't hold up to some of my more preferred mascaras at the end of the day. Next up, I have one of the Lisa Eldridge Kitten Lash Mascaras. I've already got another one of these on the go, and I do think I will always have this in stock. And it's not my first or second or maybe even third favorite mascara for every day, but it is my number one go-to weapon of choice if I think I might cry, or if I think it might rain, or if I think my eyes may water because it's very windy outside and my eyes just love to embarrass me. So this is definitely one that I always want to keep in my collection, because although it's not waterproof, and I hate waterproof mascaras typically, it's the most water resistant of any of my mascaras, and it's never let me down. I can cry, bawl my eyes out, the wind can rip tears from my tear ducts without permission, anything can happen, it can rain, cats and dogs, and my mascara will look immaculate. So this, I feel, will always be my go-to weapon of choice. If I fear water may in some way, shape or form be making contact with my eyelashes. Next, we have a MAC Stack, another one of my absolute favorite, more dramatic mascaras. I have another on the go currently, but it is in the brown shade, and I love that one. I don't think it will be an immediate repurchase because again, it's sort of slipped out of my top 3 now, but it is one that I feel like I won't truly know how I feel about her until it's gone and I don't have any others. So it could be one that I may come back to at some point, because I do love it and I do love how dramatic it is and how volumizing, but it's not in my top few. So I won't immediately repurchase this when the brown one is used up, but it may be one that I miss, you know, and I still think about. And so we'll see. At the moment, that's a won't repurchase, although I did really enjoy it. Next, I have a travel size and a full size of the Benefit Fanfest. And this is one I think I came back to. I don't think this was my first ever tube of Fanfest. I think this is one that when I was trying to work out my top 3, I went back to because I remember really loving it. I won't repurchase this one as much as I love it and as much as I love the packaging of it. I really enjoy this. This is probably a top 10 mascara for me, but I definitely made the decision that I prefer the Benefit Roller Lash to the Fanfest. So if I was going to repurchase a Benefit mascara, it would be the Roller Lash. So I don't think I'll repurchase these anytime soon, but I do love the fanned out effect. I just find the rest of the lash look that this gives me is a bit fluffier and less crisp and spiky and defined, which I'm leaning more towards as a preference for my lashes at the moment. Next up, we have a Huda Beauty One Coat Wow. I've forgotten about this mascara. I did love it. It's hugely dramatic, and as the name would suggest, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It definitely gives you big, full fat, dramatic lashes in one coat, which I love, because if I want that as quickly as possible, then perfect. So it definitely does exactly what it says on the tin. I love the packaging. I love how dramatic this mascara is. I haven't repurchased it and I don't think I will, just because it is, again, a bit like the Lancome Monsieur Big, a different style of lash to what I prefer these days. I like something a bit more like I'm wearing today, where the lashes are a bit more separated, a bit more fanned out, a bit more defined, as opposed to being that sort of fuller, chunkier lash. And this definitely lives in the full volume, chunkier lash Haus. So I don't think this will be a repurchase for me. The wand is ginormous, so it can be messy. You can't really use it on your lower lashes without it being a mess and being quite tricky. So I really like this. I was very impressed by it, but I don't think I'll repurchase it for now. It might be, again, one that I might reconsider and come back to at some point, but it's not one that I feel I can't be without. Next up, we have the Burberry Ultimate Lift Mascara. I really enjoyed this, and this was definitely in danger of making it into my top few mascaras until I discovered the next one I'm going to talk about. I love the tube, I love the sort of lifting effect, but I do think that the next mascara I'm going to talk about and the Benefit Roller Lash do that type of lash a bit better than the Burberry one. And it also didn't last very well. It didn't perform super well. It kind of dried out and went past its best quite quickly. So the other mascaras that do the thing that this does, I prefer. So that mascara is the Hourglass Unlocked Instant Extensions Mascara. A bit of a mouthful there, a bit of a tongue twister. This has become one of my all-time favorite mascaras. I feel like it's dramatic, but in a natural way, if that makes sense. I get a lot of lashes really fanned out and lifted, super long lengthening mascara. Not a lot of volume, but enough to keep me happy while giving me huge amounts of length. So this is a tubing mascara. I think I never really fully know, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it's a tubing / fiber type of mascara, you know, and so that makes it very, very easy to remove. And apparently, if your eyelashes are prone to smudging and giving you panda eyes throughout the day, this is a good way to go, apparently. So I love this mascara. I think it looks beautiful, natural, fanned out, but dramatic from the lengthening, which for me, I'm starting to prefer to being dramatic because of the volumizing, which is more like what the Huda One Coat Wow does and what Lancôme Monsieur Big does. This gives you drama from the length, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. I've already repurchased it. Love of my life. I love you. Top 3 for sure. And then the last mascara, of course, it's the Charlotte Tilbury Push Up Lashes. I'm kind of surprised there's not at least one more of these in there, but I know the reason why. It's just that it lasts forever. You know, it stays good for so long, so much longer than any other mascara I've ever tried. I can use this for like 3, 4, 5 months and it's still going strong. And as you can see, I've tried a lot of new mascaras this year. So I guess, you know, my favorites, although I always come back to them, they didn't get as much use because we seem to have got a lot of new mascaras this year. And I've just personally tried a lot of new mascaras. I have, of course, already repurchased this, and I think that tube is kind of on its way out. So really it's almost 2 of these used up. But if this had a more average sort of length of performance for a mascara, I feel like I would have been through like 4 or 5 of them because they last so well and you get so much use out of them. I've only been through like 1.5, which is very impressive. But I mean, for the foreseeable future, I'm always going to repurchase this. This remains my holy grail mascara. I absolutely flipping love. I'm feeling really extra cheeky. I'll do these 2 together. We get the absolute gorgeous, glorious length from this one, and then the extra lift and volumization from this one. Dream team. Ooh, I also used up one of my Rare Beauty brow gels this year, and actually I was just thinking today, the one that I have already replaced this with is definitely on its way out. So I think I've basically used up 2 of these this year. Absolutely will repurchase. I wish there was more product in there because 4.5 grams, I just feel like I go through it so quickly. So 2 of these, I've gone back and forth with a couple of other brow gels this year, but nothing beats the Rare Beauty for me. So I've already repurchased it and I will repurchase it again for the foreseeable future. I love it. It just holds my very stubborn brows like nothing else. I also used up one of the Charlotte Tilbury UV Flawless primers this year. I have almost finished with another one as well. I'm probably 2/3 of the way through the one that I repurchased. I will repurchase. I've already repurchased one, nearly used that one up as well, and I will repurchase it again. It's one of my all-time favorite makeup products. Anytime I'm going makeup free, I will mix a bit of this in with Charlotte Tilbury's tanning drops, and it's just gorgeous. It keeps my skin hydrated and protected, and it gives me a beautiful glow, and mixed in with the tanning drops, it just makes me look a little more alive and have a little bit more color to my skin and match up with my body a bit and look a bit less washed out. So I love it. I don't think I'll ever be without it. I will continue to use these up, I'm sure. There's just nothing else like it either on the market that does everything that that one does. While we're on the topic of primers, I went through one of the Tom Ford Soft Matte primers this year. I think I went through two last year. So only one. That's scaring me that my other one might be running out. I don't think it is. I think you can take, yes, you can. So you can see this one has, you can check how much is left in the tube. I'm kind of scared that my other one might be close to the end. Please no. So yeah, I'm surprised I've only been through one of these, but I do feel like there have been some other primers this year that I've used and really loved, like the new Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate primer. I also was gifted another solid Tatcha Silk Canvas, which I've enjoyed using. Also, we had like the Dior Star Filter. So perhaps that's why, you know, I've tried out a few more primers that I've only used up one of these. So that's good, but it still remains a repurchase for me. It still remains the undefeated holy grail for me primer of my life. For me, for the foreseeable future, it does everything I want a primer to do. It gives me a lot of smoothing, it helps my foundation wear better, and it just gives me such a flawless base for makeup. Again, I've repurchased it already, and as soon as that one runs out, I will repurchase it again with a smile on my face, especially if I've got a cheeky discount. Okay, so I didn't include skincare in here because that would be like the size of a large recycling bin if I went through all of the skincare, but I did include this Nars lip mask because I kind of use this as makeup or as part of my makeup prep. Whenever I'm doing my makeup, the first thing I'll do is put a bit of lip mask on and then start doing my makeup, and then my lips are nice and hydrated and prepared for lipstick. So this one I have been using for a long time until it has finished, and I love it. It has a nice sort of gentle, sweet scent to it. It's not so thick that, you know, when you come to apply lipstick it causes you an issue. It doesn't like leave the stringy bits that some of these masks do, and it does keep my lips really nice and hydrated and soft. I don't typically like this one when, like, for leaving on in the daytime, because it sort of tones down the colour in my lips and sort of makes them look invisible. So I do think I prefer the one I'm using at the moment, which is the Fenty pudding mask, because that has a little bit of sort of berry colour to it, so I can use that both as like makeup prep and on sort of no makeup days or no makeup days, just for a bit of hydration on the lips, a bit of care to the lips, but also a little bit of colour. So I don't think I would repurchase this. This was actually PR, I think, originally. I don't think I'd repurchase this, but I enjoyed it while it lasted. What else have we got in here? So we have one powder, and I'm sure you know what it is. So this is one of the Pat McGrath Under Eye setting powders. This is the medium shade. I have all of the shades except for the deep. I think I've got one yellow, one light, and one medium still on the go now, and I probably will continue to repurchase these. These days, I usually only use this to set my concealer or my primer, my eyeshadow primer on my lids. I don't really use this under the eyes anymore because I've come to prefer the Givenchy, but I love this so much for setting my eye primer. So I think I probably would still repurchase this, and I do still really like this under the eyes. So, you know, I have got a backup of my Givenchy powder, which is the original formula, but I guess if I did ever use those up, I probably will go back to the Pat McGrath. So yeah, so this is kind of a maybe. I've still got like several of these powders on the go. So I have repurchased it, but I don't know how long that will continue because I don't really use it for its intended purposes. And I guess you could pretty much use any powder on your lids just to set and give you a bit of powderiness to blend into when it comes to eyeshadows. So that's a maybe. I've got a lot left in the tank when it comes to these in several different shades, but for under the eye, I feel like those days have probably gone. I did also use up a Pot Nars concealer. This is in the shade Custard, and I use this to prep my eyes for eyeshadow. I don't really use this, or don't use this under the eyes or on my face, but I find this perfect for prepping my eyes for eyeshadow. It's got really full coverage, really evens out all the discoloration on my lids, perfect for shadow, and then I set it with my Pat McGrath powder. I have already repurchased this, and it's got a pretty big dent in it as well. So yes, this is a yes from me. I will continue to use this for the foreseeable future. It's just perfect for that purpose. Really full coverage, really nice smooth base for eyeshadow, but it's a bit heavier than what I like for under the eyes, so it stays being my eyeshadow primer. Don't tell Robert Welsh, whatever you do. And then the items I'm probably the most proud of when it comes to having used these up. First up, one of my Haus Labs concealers. So this is the shade 24, which is like my in-between shade. So I have 21, which I use like in starkest winter, and then is it 31 that I have in the depths of summer when I'm more tan. And then this is a shade that I sort of use in winter and in summer and in between, so hence the reason why it's the one that I've used up. I'm so proud of this. I was really confused when this sort of came to the end of its life, because I was, you know, getting it out, and you can't really see that there is quite a lot of sort of bare, you know, see-through bit of the tube, but sometimes that can appear before really it's gone. It's just the product is sort of getting lower in the tube. But the last few times I used this, I was getting out and the one just is really dry. You know, it doesn't feel sort of that creamy, wet feeling to it as you apply it. It felt really dry. And then I realized that there just wasn't really any product coming out left. And I'd actually used up a liquid concealer, and I physically cannot remember having ever done that before. I feel like typically what happens is I'll use a liquid concealer for a while, then a one that will come along that I prefer, and I'll use that, and I keep doing that. So I've actually used up a full concealer, and when I looked and started using my 21 instead after I used this one up, it's also getting to the end of its life. Like again, it's got all those sort of, you know, see-through bits where you can see there's no product inside the tube, and it's definitely on its way out. So I've been through, again, like 1.5 of these. It's still my holy grail. I will absolutely repurchase this in this shade, and I'll repurchase 21 when that one's gone as well. It's my holy grail. I'm loving it, clearly. I'm actually so proud of myself. But nothing makes me prouder than using up and finishing foundations. And this year I finished up 2 foundations. I'm beside myself. First up, we have the Hourglass Soft Glow Foundation. I love this foundation for something when I'm looking for something a bit more glam, a bit more full coverage, a bit more matte and longer wearing than my typical day-to-day glowier foundations. It's flawless, it's beautiful, but it's a soft matte, a more luminous matte, got a beautiful bit of luminosity to it, and it wears beautifully. It's so smoothing and perfecting and flawless, and it also makes an excellent mixer with something that is glowier, that doesn't quite have the coverage. These two I love mixing together. So this is the Chanel No. 1, and this is in my winter shade BD41. I hate doing this because I feel like whenever I do this, like something will come out, even though it hasn't come out for like months. Like just to show me up on camera. I mean, it tried a little bit to make a splash, but no. I did try a little bit to spit a drop out, but no, it's fully used up. This is my winter shade BD41. And again, the Hourglass is a bit of an in-between shade. So this is shade 8, and I can really use shade 8 pretty much winter, summer, and everything in between. I prefer shade 10, I think, or 10.5 in summer. But again, I can mix this in with the 10.5 or use this alone in summer and it will look fine, and it looks fine in winter. So hence why I've used, again, this shade up. I do have another shade of the Hourglass. I've already repurchased shade 8 because it's such a good shade. It's one that's quite sort of wearable for me winter, summer and in between. So it does get a lot of use, and I love mixing this in with like the Patrick Tar or the Chanel No. 1, something that I want a little bit more coverage from, and it makes a perfect mix there because those are glowier, so this will sort of be a more in between finish and have that longevity from a more matte foundation and have that coverage, and then the mixing foundation has a bit more glow. So I do love to mix this one, and so I do get a lot of use out of it. It's such a beautiful foundation. I've already repurchased it. Really, the Chanel No. 1 I don't plan to repurchase immediately. I do have a sort of, again, very on its last legs summer shade, which I think is B50. So I do continue to use and will use up as well, but I don't think I'll immediately repurchase this one. And I spoke about this in my foundations roundup video, my top 5 foundations. This is not in my top 5 anymore, and I feel like there are a few foundations that are similar to this one that I prefer. So the Nars and the Haus Labs, possibly the Patrick Tar, but this one I just feel like it's a beautiful glowy finish foundation, very fresh and healthy looking, but I do have to use a lot of this to even out my skin tone. And the Haus Labs and the Nars and say the Charlotte Tilbury, the Dior Stick Foundation, the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate, they all even out my skin tone quicker, easier with less product. So I think that it's time for me to let this one go. And I've enjoyed it and clearly got a lot of use out of it, but I can't see me repurchasing it again. Perhaps over time I'll miss it and want to give it another go once my summer shade has gone as well. But right now I don't plan to repurchase this one, but I will repurchase the Hourglass straight away because I love her. And it has like a real specific purpose in my collection that I enjoy using it for. So absolutely will repurchase that one. But this one, we're moving on. And there you have it. Those are all of my makeup empties from 2024. What do you think? Do you think this is a lot or not really? I guess within the scope of my collection, how much makeup I try and how much makeup, you know, I review and go through, I feel like it's pretty good. You know, 2 foundations, 2 concealers, obviously a lot of mascaras, a couple of primers. I feel like I'm really using my makeup and I'm loving it. I get so satisfied when I hit pan or I use Makeup Up. People have been asking me if I'm going to do a project pan again. And if you saw the last one I did, I just didn't enjoy it. I felt like it was sort of forcing me to use specific products all the time when I wanted to use something else. So I don't plan to do another project pan because I just don't enjoy them. But I definitely do get a thrill out of using something up and it becoming an empty or hitting pan when that happens, which is very rare. But please let me know if you've fully used something up or panned something this year. Please let me know what it was in the comment section down below, and let me know whether you plan to repurchase it or whether you've replaced it with something else. I'd love to be nosy, okay? I love you guys to tell me your secrets. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.